Hello, my sweet whatnots. It is Monday, January 20th, Martin Luther King Day in the United States and Canada, and this is a show called What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code WHATCHAOS. That'll get you $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game. Hi, everybody. My name is DJ Bean. I am sitting next to Pete Blackburn, and across the room on a Victory Monday is Sean DePaz. How about them Boston Bruins, Pete?
No, fuck you.
How about them Buffalo Bills, Sean?
No, we can talk about the Bruins. I don't mind that either.
Sean's pushing hard for a Bruins episode today.
Yes, I feel amazing. Feels like this might be the year. I try not to get too out of myself, but it might be the year.
That is a complete tonal shift from the text messages
You're being a real
you were
bitch
sending
last
yesterday.
night, which was okay.
No, I was terrified of the Ravens, and the Bills proved me wrong. I am not. I have admitted publicly that I was worried about the Bills in that game, and I was wrong. That was my biggest obstacle to me. I am way less, which concerns me, the fact that I'm not concerned, but I am way less concerned about the Chiefs than I was the Ravens. Get to the Super Bowl against Saquon might be a slightly different story. I might be worried again, but as of right now, I feel like the Bills are the best team, or the best.
Are we bringing back worried or not worried on this show? And applying it to the Buffalo Bills? I love that.
Yeah, because remember DJ's whole thing was not worried about the Edmonton Oilers?
When they were playing the Canucks.
Yeah,
when they were down in the series, just like, sorry, I hate to be so optimistic, but like I'm just not worried about the series.
No, I am not.
I totally forgot about that.
Not worried. I wasn't worried when the Bills played the Chiefs at the beginning of the year. Not worried now. But again, we'll see this is the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, and it's the Chiefs in the playoffs. So we shall see.
And the whole not worried thing is the reason that you should be worried. Like, I always feel uncomfortable when I don't feel worried about a game that has stakes.
That's why I was slightly shitting myself going into the Broncos game, because I was just like, it is concerning me how unworried I am about Bo Nix and the Broncos. I ended up having no reason to be worried because they suck. But, yeah, we'll see. But we're in a pretty good place. It's a week of no hockey, the week that the Bills would have their parade. So all things lining up.
Looking ahead.
I would like to give a shout out to the great Dr. Martin Luther King, as today is Martin Luther King Day. I did not realize until the chat pointed out we might have some newcomers or people who don't regularly get to check out our show, because some people who don't, today is a day off for hopefully everybody, and they're able to check us out. I assumed that people just checked us out from work. Watched us during work.
That's what I assumed. But anything else going on today?
So welcome to all the squares. Well, apparently not, because you're here. I thought that something was going on today.
Plenty going on today.
Listen, we got a show to do today. If I had the day off, it might be a different set of circumstances.
Exactly. Pete, you didn't. Yeah. We have to send time off requests to each other.
My flight to DC got canceled because of the storm. That's the only reason I'm here. Exactly.
Yeah. Pete didn't have confidence. I didn't get a time off request from him ahead of the election.
First week of November.
Sean was the only person here that was positive that Donald Trump was going to be elected.
I mean, I did feel pretty confident that he was going to be elected, but
so you know politics better than you know ball. You weren't confident.
I would say for sure I know politics better than that. Politics are my bag.
And I would say that like the best part of ball is that no one knows it. Like you watch it day in, day out, year in, year out, and we don't know it.
I don't want to ever like fully know ball, and nobody should ever want to fully know ball. If you fully know ball,
you're a dork.
Then you're a dork, and you're taking the fun out of ball. Because half the fun of ball is feeling like you know what you know, and then getting proven wrong.
I would argue that it's fully impossible to know ball, because if you spend enough time to watch, if you watch enough film to know ball, then you don't play the game. and you can't fully know the game if you don't play the game. And if you play the game and you're good at it, it takes too much time to the point where you can't watch all the film you'd want to watch.
But that's why I like analytics people in hockey. It's why I like Mina Kimes in football, because they're not Mina Kimes isn't pretending she's your coach.
That's why I love baseball. You don't watch all 162 games of all 30 MLB teams, but there's numbers that you can learn a lot from. Baseball is the best math sport there is.
Everybody's got a seat at the table.
Thank you to all the Canadians who are wishing a happy MLK Day.
I was going to say, you did say MLK Day in Canada, and it is pretty definitively not that.
I mean, it isn't even, you were telling us because you know politics before the show, it's not even really MLK everywhere in America.
Well, it is, because it's a federal holiday, but it is also, shout out Pete, Robert E. Lee Day.
What?
In Mississippi and Alabama, it is Robert E. Lee Day as well. We live in a fucked up country.
When we look at our demographics on YouTube
Too far.
and see that our Mississippi and Alabama numbers are spiking, we're like, Pete must have done something. What's Pete doing?
Going door to door, knocking on doors.
Pete is the most tame, I guess I'm liberal person in the world, by the way.
For all the new people that we were talking about, disclaimer, Pete is a good person. Definitely not a racist.
No, but you like this character.
I like the character, and I like popping into Discord every once in a while and being like, Pete's MAGA?
I mean, it is also not quite to the extent of MAGA, but it's also good for my character and Sean's character that we are doing a show with someone with whom we disagree.
We're reaching across the aisle.
Yes, exactly. We reach across the room, as it were. That's Daniel Plainview. We're gonna get to the Connor McDavid stuff, we promise, but we're first gonna maybe have our proverbial coffee, hang out, talk about other fun stuff that happened over the weekend. Pete, why don't you tell the folks what those topics will be?
I would love to. Today on the show, we got, is Connor McDavid bad for the NHL? The discourse has fired up over the weekend after that whole crazy ending to the Oilers-Canucks game. We'll get into that for sure, but the biggest question is, should Connor McDavid be banned from the NHL? Jail. Yeah, straight to prison. Next, where's Marchie? Brad Marchand was missing. Not actually, but wasn't playing. He was on the bench for the overtime.
Yeah.
And Joe Sacco had a nice little interesting post-game press conference snippet to suggest that Brad Marchand is on a shit list. Next, we have Shoot or Shoot. I don't really know what that one's about.
A lot of goalies are you got one scoring, but as we'll get to with Pete's favorite team, maybe shooting is getting a little out of control.
We got a whole goalies shooting kind of thing over the weekend. Half endearing, half derogatory. And
some goalies take a player's stick and you're like, is that so you could shoot? And there's like, no, so you can't have it. Uri. Continue.
And finally, JT Miller to the Rangers, ? It almost happened this weekend. We'll get into that. Whether we want him to go to the Rangers, where maybe we might actually want him to see him elsewhere. I think we'll dive into some JT Miller trade possibilities later in the show.
We're ballparking about 10 minutes from now. We'll be talking about McDavid and getting into that. And obviously a lot of Oilers stuff happened. And really, if we were sorting by relevant, interesting things, there would be a lot of Oilers today. But we're going to try to mix it up and have a little fun with you. You just wanted to say that Saturday was
crazy.
You had the Commanders upsetting the Lions, which I didn't watch any of that game, and my eyes still fell out of my head. I was so shocked. I
got to acknowledge, because Ocean from the chat called me out for assuming that Philly will win versus DC. I do assume that, but also I am a JD5 guy until the day that I die. I am rooting for the commies. That shit rocked.
Everybody is so all in on the Commanders, and it feels weird that the whole country is rooting for those colors and rooting for that roster and everything. It's hard. I have to remind myself every day, he's gone.
Yeah.
We don't own them anymore.
Yeah.
But here's the thing as a Bills fan, and this should worry you. I feel like the entire country was split between the Bills and the Lions as the team that they want to win the Super Bowl.
For sure.
Lions are now out. Everybody's going to jump on the Bills bandwagon. Everybody's going to be rooting for the Bills. That's bad for the Bills sort of the juju.
Yeah, I think if the commies make the Super Bowl, that splits it up a little bit. The thing that worries me the most is the Bills, when they lost their 4 straight Super Bowls, were all against NFC East teams, 2 against the Cowboys, 1 against the Giants, and 1 against the then Washington Redskins, which means they either have to play the Washington football franchise again, or they have to play the one NFC East team that has not beaten them in a Super Bowl, assuming they get to the Super Bowl. And I don't know which one worries me more, but commies rock.
People will. I think that it has helped the Bills if you are worried about that, which is a valid concern. If you are worried about that, like having too many people on your side, a lot of people are going to be on the Commander's side. Also, Patrick Mahomes got special treatment against the Texans. What else is new? I didn't watch that game either because I can't watch the Texans. I can't watch anything that reminds me of how much the Chargers fucking chunked it last weekend in the most predictable thing in the world. What'd you have to say on that?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Somebody in the chat says an acronym for Bills. Is this a common thing? An acronym for Bills is "Boy, I love losing Super Bowls."
I don't know. I wouldn't surprise me.
First time I've seen that. That's incredible. Hell yeah.
And then there were 2 big games. Obviously, Hockey Night in Canada was Canadiens-Leafs. That didn't end up being that crazy of a game, but it was an electric one between the Oilers and the Canucks, which we will get to.
I said that Mahomes was the McDavid of football. They get special treatment.
Yes, maybe. We'll get to that. Let's stay in Buffalo, though. Alex Nedeljkovic getting a goalie goal and an assist as well. That was the big takeaway for people, that he's the first goalie to have a goal and an assist. I got to be honest, I don't fucking care about I get very excited when a goalie has an assist because that's like partaking in an actual, like contributing to a real actual play. The goalie goal is such a psychotic, otherworldly thing. Now, shut the fuck up about the assist until he fights, and then it's a Gordie Howe hat trick.
Yeah, but it's the combination of the two. Like you have a multi-point night as a goalie with split stats. That's incredible. A goal and an assist, like getting a goal as a goalie is so rare in and of itself, but like getting an assist on top of that, first time in NHL history, I thought it was awesome. I would have loved the fight. And if there was more time left on the clock, if he had gotten like the goal with a minute left, he would have had to fight, right?
The problem was that UPL just recently he got ran by Malkin in that game, I think. So I don't know if he would have been he was like a little shaken up. I don't know if
doesn't have to be against the other goalie.
That is true. That's a very good point. It hurt for me extra because, as we talked about last week, UPL tried a goal of his own, and then off air I discussed with you. I'm like, it just kind of dawned on me that that's something that could happen to the Sabres. That the Sabres
I'm gonna keep shooting until I get
score a goal, and then immediately they get a goal scored on them by the most tragic team in hockey.
There's like an epidemic here, and this will tie into the Bruins. Jeremy Swayman tries it when the Bruins are playing the Senators, and the Senators end up coming back in that game when they've got their goalie pulled down 2 goals. It's
like my life goal.
Is that play?
Score. It's like my life goal to
I didn't hear it.
It's like my life goal to score.
Is that infiltrating goaltenders too much right now?
It might be.
I
talked to Joey Decor. I messaged Joey Decor this weekend. I was like, how jealous are you of Alex Nedeljkovic? He was just like, I'll be honest with you, I'm being outworked. I got to work harder.
Well,
so, like, guys are working for it.
I will say, Nedeljkovic, this is kind of his bag.
He does it everywhere.
He ECHL twice in the AHL and now in the NHL. Like that,
and
he's just a goal scorer.
He scored in the ECHL. Oh, yeah. ECHL, AHL,
2 in the AHL.
NHL.
Yeah,
crazy.
Okay, now to your Boston Bruins, Pete. How do you feel about the Bruins blowing a 2-goal lead with Ottawa's goalie pulled, losing in a shootout? They're out of the playoffs by points. They're on pace to be the 4th wild card and miss the playoffs. That game, Saturday afternoon, felt like a new low, whatever you want to call it.
It was a really entertaining game. It was a horrible loss for the Bruins. Horrible loss. You cannot give up those points. And they had so many chances to ice that game at the end. They give up 2 empty net goals or goalie pulled goals with the extra skater for Ottawa. You just can't give Ottawa those points. You are locked in a playoff battle with Ottawa. And it brings me, my ultimate feeling at the end of that game was, and this is bad fan behavior, I guess, I don't want the Bruins to make the playoffs. I just don't. I don't want, I don't think they're going to be able to be capable of making noise. I don't think that they're going to be any fun to watch. Like, they're going to be the Capitals of last year. If they get into the playoffs, they're going to get smoked in the first round by a higher seed. And it's not going to be fun for anybody. And it's going to allow the front office to kind of skate by with, well, hey, at least we got in. We got that gate revenue. The Jacobs are happy about it. We get to keep our jobs for another year. I don't want that. I really don't. And there's a chance that maybe down the stretch, they show something, they give me a spark, and I change my mind. It's quite possible. But as of right now, I'm not actively rooting against the Bruins, but I don't hope. I really am not pushing for them to get into a playoff spot, especially with other fun teams on the bubble. And I'm looking at the goddamn, this is horrible fan behavior. I love the Montreal Canadiens. They are so much fun. I want the Canadiens to get in. I really do.
I'm okay with all that. I think that playing devil's advocate, they have the roster that if they do get hot and you enter the playoffs and Pastrnak is healthy in scoring, Marchand is healthy in scoring, and Lindholm is performing better, Zadorov looks like a solid second pairing defenseman.
Swayman at his best.
Swayman, Swayman, I think of like not quite automatic, but like if he gets the playoffs, Swayman is going to be good, even if he's not going to be what he was at the beginning of the season, which was quite bad. If you have both Lindholms healthy, and now I'm talking specifically about Hampus Lindholm, they'd have a good top four. They'd have a good enough top six. They wouldn't have depth. I don't think that they're going to make any noise, but I won't totally bail on my thought from the offseason when they made these changes, which is they could be a little better positioned as a postseason team than they'd be as a regular season team. I've said before, I thought they were going to be worse in the regular season. I didn't think they were going to become bad in the regular season, which is what they've become. So I don't think they deserve to make the playoffs. I, too, would rather see more fun teams get the experience. And I don't know, this sounds crazy. Like, I don't think it's automatic that the Blue Jackets or Canadians would lose in the first round.
I don't think so either. Like, I think that those teams, both of them, are at least a year or two away from like real noise. But they can be disruptors in the first round. I think that those two teams, especially the Canadians, like if they head into the playoffs with a head of steam, they've got enough depth. They've got enough vibes behind them. They've got guys who are, in the early stages of their development, and whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing with playoff experience, having their first taste of it, that's up for debate. But they're at least going to be a more fun product to watch. And you're going to get like atmospheres that hungry fan bases for playoff hockey, whether it's Columbus, whether it's Detroit, whether it's Montreal, whether it's Ottawa. It's going to be like, I would be excited for those atmospheres as well as the teams.
Here's the take. Sean, you don't like the Boston Bruins, right?
No.
You want nothing but bad things to happen to them, except with people you like Nikita Zadorov and Jeremy Swayman.
Generally speaking. There's exceptions, but generally speaking.
You should want them to make the playoffs.
Why?
You want them to remain toiled in whatever they are right now. And the most guaranteed way to stay this way, which is drafting poorly and just using Band-Aids and hoping, okay, we'll just kick the can down the road again and again and again and again, is by keeping this group, keeping the mindset that Don Sweeney and Cam Neely have. If they miss the playoffs, you will probably see change. And then a new GM is coming in with a good goalie, with a good number one defenseman, with some pieces, cap going up, cap space, could maybe do a little something. I trust replacement level GM way more than I trust Don Sweeney. I'd rather roll those dice. If you want them to be a mushy middle team, Sean, you should want them to make the playoffs because they'll stay that way.
My only thing there is that like I don't think them getting to the first round and getting embarrassed is going to ultimately change much. So like between that and them missing the playoffs entirely, so I don't really care as much as far as that's concerned. My one concern is that the first round, there's a good chance that is the Montreal or the Toronto Maple Leafs, and until the Toronto Maple Leafs prove to me that they're not the Toronto Maple Leafs, they could be assholes and lose that first round to the Boston Bruins. In which case, that might be the most ideal scenario because the Bruins win that series, then they lose the next round, and then they change nothing, and they're still stuck in mediocrity. But I feel like if they get to the playoffs and get swept or lose in 5 games in the first round, they're going to make the same changes they would make even if they miss the playoffs.
And honestly, if they win a round, that not only is a stay of execution, that might like buy time.
I think that
might mean like, hey, even if they miss the playoffs next year, maybe they earned another year.
And that might, I wonder what that means for Sacco for the future. Like if that forces them, and not force them, but pushes them to make him full-time permanently. I think that's an ideal situation.
You'd be in a tough spot if you like don't think he's the guy, but he wins you a playoff series.
I think that might be a most ideal situation, especially because it's the Maple Leafs. If they can embarrass the Maple Leafs in the process of sticking themselves in mediocrity for the immediate future, perfect.
Well, as a fan, like that the ultimate, I should not want that for the bigger picture of things.
But beating the Leafs,
take it.
Beating the Leafs in the playoff series,
in the first round. Yeah. I'm never going to turn it down.
That's why one thing about exceptions, where like I don't want the Bruins to do well unless it's against the Maple Leafs or the Senators, in which case I'll take it.
Okay, well, on Joe Sacco, after the game, it was noted in his post-game presser that he did not play Brad Marchand in the 3-on-3 overtime. Here's him being asked about it after the game.
I don't think we saw Marshy in the overtime. Was he hurting or
no? He wasn't hurting. No.
Just a coach's decision there.
Yeah.
Okay, coach's decision. Marchand he was a -1 in the game. He had one shot on goal. Not great. He, I believe, had a double minor for getting all tied up with Nick Cousins, which I gotta tell you, that's just gonna happen. Not his best game, but trying to read into it, you're benching Brad Marchand in 3-on-3. I don't know if that says something bad about Joe Sacco's coaching style, but it definitely says something about disharmony, right?
Yeah. And I mean, you've got more problems than just Brad Marchand.
Right, and if you're going to lose, you have to go down losing with those guys.
Especially when you've given up 2 6-on-5 goals.
Yeah, true. Like, play your good defensive players. Have out there somebody who probably is not going to allow a goal. Yeah, something's weird there, and I think that Joe Sacco has to be careful with which levers he pulls, because chances are he's not going to be back. I don't think he's going to be fired midseason, although Elliott speculated, like, if there's a guy that they would want to drop in right now, why not do it anyway? I would just say, unless there's something going on, and I'm talking like Rich Keefe levels of reporting there, I would leave Marchand out of it. I would leave the captain out of it, because although he is in a walk year and you'd think they wouldn't sell, if I were the head coach of the Bruins right now, if I were an interim head coach, I would assume Brad Marchand's going to be there longer than I'm going to be there. So I would just maybe leave the captain out of it.
And it's like your team at many points this season, have played like assholes, been assholes. And like maybe you think Brad Marchand's part of that problem, but he has to be part of the solution as well.
Right. You just don't have enough guys.
Yeah.
If there's like this third liner can end up being a first liner, you just don't have those guys. You're already asking a lot of the Morgan Geekies of the world. It's bad times for the Boston Bruins. You're officially out on them. Haven't missed the playoffs.
I'm not out on them. I'm not quitting on them.
You said you don't like the team, or
I'm not having a good time.
Okay.
But I'm not out on them. I'm still ride or die. But for the benefit of the team, I hope they don't make the playoffs.
He's not having a good time. Okay, that's it. I have a good time when I'm outside and I'm running around and I'm wearing my glasses. Somebody over the weekend said, hey, nice perspective on the Connor McDavid stuff with navy and orange glasses. First of all, they're not navy and orange. It's
royal.
Like more of like a royal. It's like a deep royal. It's a nice color. And if I had those glasses, then I would wear them. I wanted to go back at that person and say, way to make everything about glasses, you four eyes. But then I remembered, I've got glasses. I've got Shady Rays. I've got Shady Rays in my team colors. I've got orange Shady Rays for my Oilers. You can get ready for the season ahead with quality shades that are built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor activities. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I pop them on, I go outside, I come back inside, I forgot that they're even on. They just become part of you. Mm-hmm. They they don't like melt into your body, but it just feels right when you're wearing them.
You feel naked without them.
So yes, and then you're like, wearing my glasses.
I know when there's many times where I'm not wearing my glasses where I'll still go to push them up on my nose thinking that they're there and they're not there.
Isn't that I watched Paddington 2 last night, not to brag. What is the British gesture of like touching the nose? You know what that's about? They touch the British people in the chat. Happy MLK Day. Please let us know what it means when British people touch their nose. It was done in a kids movie a bunch, so I don't think it was like cocaine related or anything. I don't know.
I've never seen Paddington. I have
never seen Paddington 2?
No.
That's crazy.
I have not
Skip
seen
the first
that
one,
outside.
see the second one.
No, watch the second one, then go watch the first one because you'll be excited about seeing the second one. You'll want to know the origin story. That's what I did.
Fair enough.
If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is going to give out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades, rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Here's what I need you to do. I need you to go to Bauer.com and look at the banner at the top. And where it says sale, you're going to want to click that link. Click that tab because Bauer's hockey sale is ongoing and it's incredible. They're offering a wide range of discounted products, including skates, sticks, protective gear, and our favorite, the apparel. The apparel is unbelievable.
50% off skates?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm not lying.
I would never
misdirect our listeners. Their apparel and gear caters to players of all levels. Consumers can find a significant savings on premium hockey equipment known for its quality, its durability, and its performance. And there's seasonal deals, there's clearance items, and you got plenty of opportunity to purchase trusted gear at a reduced price. You've also got some current key sales like 30% off Nexus Sync and Easton S17 sticks. You got 40% off select skates. You got 25% off select helmets and up to 50% off select apparel styles and collabs. So there's a ton to be had at Bauer.com on the sale page. So please go there, click that tab, and because we love you, we got a free shipping code for you. Free ship WC. Free ship WC to get free shipping on the Bauer sales page. Go there and get some stuff for you or your loved ones. You're not going to regret it.
I know we talked about this last week, but I've been having an itch, my ADHD hyperfixation on trying to learn how to play hockey.
Yeah, buddy, let's do
it.
Learn to play this summer. Let's do it.
If Bauer wants to sponsor it, because that's just expensive, but I would totally do it.
I'll be honest. I've floated that idea their way, and they seem receptive to it. So we'll see.
I think they might have a little more work to do for me than they do you, based on our skating at Wrigley experience. But
they're up for the challenge. I guarantee it. But get ready to learn hockey summer.
Oh, buddy,
that would be incredible,
buddy. I'd be in.
I would fake not knowing how to play hockey so I could upgrade my skates.
Be like that.
You're our coach.
That grown French guy or whatever it was that was playing. I don't remember where it was, but he was like the 20-year-old dude or whatever that was playing like 13-year-olds, just fucking murdering kids.
Did you see that video?
No.
He went to jail for it because he was abusing children, basically. But he was like, he lied about his age, pretended he was a kid, and played in like a junior or like a peewee hockey thing, and was like
destroying kids
like children.
I looked it up during the ad read. Apparently, you touch your nose, it means like, hey, our little secret, like between you and me. Like
telling a lot of secrets in Paddington.
Yeah. Oh, there's mad secrets in Paddington.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
It's basically
there's
espionage. Prison. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And there is the most hood escape from prison there has ever been in the world.
Hell yeah.
Shawshank.
Connor Monte Cristo.
Shawshank's pretty crazy.
I was saying hood.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of hood elements in Shawshank.
I've never seen Shawshank or Paddington.
But this was like a cobbled together, like what can we turn this into? And they turn into something like, it's just lofty.
Yeah, it's very lofty. I'll say that for sure.
I was going to say like Shawshank is like a dork ass one. It's great. They're both great escapes. I think that the escape from in Paddington 2 is way cooler.
I mean, only one of them utilizes a hot air balloon. I think that one
Have you guys read Connor Monte Cristo?
No.
If I remember correctly, because I read it in high school, I'm pretty sure this guy gets wrongly imprisoned, and a guy like steals his wife, and then he something along the lines of like fakes his death and shoots himself out of a cannon or something to escape jail. I don't remember. I might be totally off base. All I remember is that the prison escape in County Monte Cristo was pretty metal.
Okay.
We're gonna get to McDavid.
Speaking of prison,
let's ease into it by saying we don't have Friday shows. Thursday night was possibly the game of the year. Oilers' second night of a back-to-back on the road, fall down 3-0 to the Avalanche. Looks like it's going to be a Nathan MacKinnon game. He walks Evan Bouchard. The rest of the game consists of this. Connor McDavid does cooler stuff than Nathan MacKinnon and is like, because I saw people even on Twitter being like, McKinnon's the best player in the world right now. And I was like, no, he fucking is. And then it's okay because within like 5 minutes, Connor McDavid was like, no, he fucking isn't. And of course, because hockey's weird, Evan Bouchard ends up being like the player of that game. But you were hot on this game because it indicated things about both teams.
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pretty telling signifier of where both teams are at right now, and it's the Colorado Avalanche are just so top heavy. They have elite top end talent. Nobody's questioning that. But behind them, like, so what's going on there? That person is. Okay. That was very distracting. I'm sorry. The Colorado Avalanche have top-end talent, and they're carried by that top-end talent. But behind them, like, what do they got? And you can't win games against really good teams who are playing good hockey with one line. And I feel that way, and it was shown over the course of that game because the Oilers, we've seen it. They just get stronger as games go along, and you can lose control of games against the Oilers pretty quickly, and they feel inevitable, and they felt inevitable on that Thursday night, and you kind of knew even down 3-0, like, oh man, this game is shifting, and if Colorado doesn't get in front of it, and like if McKinnon or Rantanen don't do something big to stop the bleeding, they are going to lose this game. And lo and behold, they lost that game.
I'm kind of the way Sean is with the Bills about the Oilers right now, where I don't want like it to be so obvious that they're better than everybody else, or I don't want the expectation to be that they're always going to do great things. But there's no other team in the NHL right now that when they're down 3-0, you think, boy, the team that's up 3-0 needs to score the next goal.
Yeah. Which brings us to Saturday.
Yes.
Because the Vancouver Canucks go up 3-0 on the Oilers. Then they start losing control of that game a little bit.
I would just need to note that obviously the Oilers came back in the Wild game and won. They came back in the Colorado game and won. On Saturday night, they fall down 3-0. It was not the same as those other two games. The Oilers were dead. They were at the end of a road trip. They had just played a back-to-back a couple nights earlier, had spent all their energy seemingly coming back against the Avalanche. They did not have it or even come close to having it on Saturday. When the Canucks were up 3-0, I sent you guys a text message and said, if they let the Oilers back in this game, we don't get to do wow, the Oilers do this to everybody. They should be relegated because they are the better team tonight. They should win. You are given a 3-0 lead. Just go. Just handle it. And they barely did, but they were able to win. So I tip my cap to the Canucks for at least hanging on. It should not have been this close. Now, let's get to the shit at the end of the game. Connor McDavid cross-checks Connor Garland in the head after being held down on the ice. Pete, very quickly, is that good? Is he allowed to do that? Should he be allowed to do that?
No.
We are all in agreement. Sean, should he be allowed to do that?
Probably not.
Should he be suspended for that?
Yes.
Probably.
I think he should be suspended for that. We're all okay, that's suspendable and that's bad. That could be as far as this conversation goes because we don't do hit chat on this show. But
this is a different circumstance, though. This was not an isolated, in a vacuum kind of thing. The reason that it's interesting is not because Connor McDavid cross-checked Connor Garland in the face at the end of the game. The reason it's interesting is why it happened and how it happened.
yeah, there's the vacuum of this is very easy, which is what we just said. Not allowed to do that. Can't do that. He can't hit at any price point. You just can't do that sort of thing. But
although if there was a price point, it would be his.
that is true.
Like if there was one guy that was allowed to hit, it would be Connor McDavid. But He's not allowed to.
Okay, well, in this conversation, I hope we do get into how Connor McDavid is viewed differently, treated differently, officiated differently. But the mitigating factors here, the things that color it, were that from 19.5 seconds remaining to 6.1 seconds remaining, he was held down / tied up by Connor Garland on and off. That's 13.4 seconds in the final 20 seconds of the game in which he is being screwed around with by a player who likes to screw around with people. I say to Connor Garland, if you are not going to get caught doing that, excellent work.
Oh, yeah.
Great behavior. Not good behavior for the earth. Great behavior for your job, because respectfully, you're not on the fucking ice to defend. You are on the ice to make sure shit doesn't happen. And he was making sure that shit doesn't happen. Was it egregious? Obviously. Am I confused that Wes McCauley and his buddies seemingly weren't watching the best player in the world with 20 seconds left in a 1-goal game, and the goalie pulled, thinking, hey, why hasn't McDavid had the puck recently? Yes, I am confused by that. But if you can get away with it, do it.
That would be ridiculous.
I would agree. I would agree with that. If you can get away with it, do it. The Canucks need to find ways to win games in any way possible, especially when they're being hemmed in the final minute of a game against one of the hottest teams in the league. Do whatever you can to get out of that game with 2 points in regulation. Here's the thing. It was literally impossible to miss that call. It was happening directly in the middle of the offensive zone as the Oilers were possessing the puck in the offensive zone for basically the entirety of those 20 seconds. If you're not looking at that and you're not seeing that, what are you looking at?
Yeah, because this is like watching an Oilers power play. You know, the puck's being moved around and everything. Where my eyes are going 3 places at all times on the Oilers power play. It's McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard. This all ends with one of them doing something. And yes, that includes McDavid throwing it to the front end of that to Zach Hyman. But when the puck is being moved around by the Oilers, at no point are you like, all right, now when's the McDavid thing happening? Where's McDavid? No. I don't understand how your brain at some point didn't ask you in those 20 seconds, shall I look to see what's going on with Connor McDavid?
That's not the ref's job. The ref's job is not I got to find McDavid here. It's take away the McDavid of it all. There's a guy in the middle of the offensive zone being held down, and even as he gets out of being pinned down on the ice, then gets tackled by Connor Garland to create a second instance in which he's being held down. You got to catch one of those, no matter who it is, no matter what the number on the back of the jersey is. So, there's no excuse to not have that call in the final dying seconds of a game. It's inexcusable. And again, credit to Connor Garland for doing whatever he can to take Connor McDavid out of the play, and it worked. The thing where obviously it's bad that Connor responded in the way that he did. The other side of the coin for me is that I don't mind it. It's you gotta suspend it, and it's bad behavior. But if you're Connor McDavid, you better be pissed. You better be furious that you're being taken out of the play illegally in the final seconds of a dying game. That it seemed well within reach that you can come back and tie the game there. And Connor Garland's being a little shit, as he often is, endearingly. But McDavid, you get up and you want blood. I'm all right with that. I really am.
There were a lot of crazy reads on all this, and I'm trying to not make this conversation too based on us reacting to reactions, because that just gets cloudy and confusing. But one of the things has been brought up on the chat was, didn't McDavid just fall on Garland, and didn't they get tangled up for a little bit? No, question asked, answer is no, because I am positive that Connor McDavid would not want to hold down Connor Garland in the final 20 seconds of a game. He wants to be
respectfully, I think Connor McDavid knows that that's a bad trade-off to take Connor Garland out of the play by taking himself out of the play. And knowing Connor McDavid in the way that he operates, he wants the goal. He wants a hand in the goal that ties the game.
And again, if that sounds I think that should be self-explanatory, but just watch the video again. And again, I'm not a hit check guy, so I don't like doing this and watching the replays and everything. But if you watch the video, you watch the replay, you'll definitely see the legs crossed.
I think you guys are being crazy dramatic about this.
What do you mean?
I think to say that Garland was holding down McDavid is an exaggeration. They got tangled up. And from a ref's perspective, McDavid is on top of Garland. You're not watching just that. You're watching the play that's going on. So if you're seeing that in your peripheral, it doesn't look like Garland is holding him down. So as far as the refs not making a call, I don't have a problem with
for
that.
20 seconds though, Sean?
No, it's not 20 seconds. So they got back up and were fighting with each other. And I think that happens all the time. And the only reason we're talking about is Connor McDavid. He at no point crossed his legs.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
I'm watching it. I'm watching it right now.
He leg locked him.
I'm watching it right now. He squeezed he definitely was holding, his legs were caught. He didn't fully cross them. Like if McDavid had tried hard enough, he could have kicked his leg out from between his legs. At no point did his legs fully cross. We're getting a little nitpicky there.
No, we're getting hit chatty. Yeah, but that's what. But
legs not fully crossed. I just think that putting any expectation on the refs to treat this any differently because of who it is absurd. And if you watch this in a vacuum, I get that. This is Garland's job. He's getting in McDavid's way, but I don't think this is any more egregious than what happens in every single NHL game. Always.
I disagree with that. And if you want to miss the first part of it, fine. I think Garland had McDavid's arm and he kind of closed his legs to prevent him from getting up. And if you miss that, okay, shit happens. You missed the call. You should be watching what is happening between those two guys. And then McDavid gets up and then gets tackled by Garland the second time, which there's no excuse to miss that part of it.
I just don't think it's that much different than what happens all the time in hockey games. I don't think it was that egregious. He's being Garland is being a shit and is making McDavid's life harder, but I don't think he's doing anything more egregious than what's constantly allowed in NHL games.
Great discussion, boys. Have to put a cap on the hit chat of that part, but it's good that we have that. Now let's bring it to, is this treated differently because it's Connor McDavid? The fact that we just had this conversation says yes, but that's also some reaction to the reaction, because I saw a lot of they're going to, he won't get in trouble for this because he didn't get in trouble for the Marcus Johansson thing. And that was a big deal because it was Connor McDavid. And I will just say everything is a big deal because it's Connor McDavid. Somebody watching that and asking, will this be treated differently, is that person treating it differently because it's Connor McDavid. So let's none of us pretend this isn't all about Connor McDavid is a star. He's different. We treat him differently. I treat him differently. Pete treats him differently. The officials definitely treat him differently. Mm-hmm. But is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I think that he gets away with more stuff, but he also could draw a lot more penalties than he does. And because he is Connor McDavid, it is understood that guy's fucking harder to play against. So if you want to grab him and you got to trip him up a little bit more, just don't do it. Just don't haul him down usually, and it won't get called. So I'll just say that if, yes, he gets away with stuff, we also have to acknowledge opponents get away with stuff on him.
And that's why I said earlier, I don't have a problem with McDavid standing up for himself if the refs aren't going to do it and not protect him, but call pretty egregious things that should be called against him. McDavid gets mugged all the time, and we see it all the time. And he could draw twice as many penalties as he actually does. So if that's not going to be called, especially in the dying seconds of a game, and he wants to take it into his own hands, I think there's better ways to handle it.
Bad behavior,
better ways to handle it than cross-checking a guy in the face. But I understand why he would be pissed off there. As far as this being a whole week for McDavid, the Johansson thing, I was surprised that he was not even fined for that. I think that happens probably because he's Connor McDavid. And
also I think that it was maybe a little bit of punishment on Johansson.
Maybe, but I don't think you punish a guy who has a concussion as a result of getting chicken winged. They should have at least fined McDavid for that. Again, I keep going back to take away the McDavid of it all based off of the actual incident on Saturday night, and it shouldn't matter that it was McDavid because that happens to anybody, and I would be pissed that my team was handicapped and taken out at the knees in the final seconds as you're making a push in a 1-goal game. I would be pissed. Would I be a little extra pissed if I'm an Oilers fan or somebody who has like a rooting interest there because it's McDavid and he's the best player in the world? Of course. But I don't think that situation was or should have been officiated differently because it was McDavid.
Yes, I think my read on this at the time, and there was stuff about McDavid, there was stuff about officiating, there was a bunch of different things. We haven't even said the name Tyler Myers yet.
Yeah.
Right? So my read on it, and Daniel Nugent-Bowman wrote this on The Athletic, and I was like, yes, this should be the story. It's obviously not going to be the story because it involves Connor McDavid. But the story probably should be poor officiating led to 2 players getting cross-checked in the head that would not have been cross-checked in the head otherwise. If that, and I know that people were also doing the Oilers had the puck. They couldn't have called it. Yes, they could have.
Well, I think
if the hand was up, whoever had the puck for the Oilers would have slowly lobbed the puck on net, and then there would have been a whistle, and then that would have been that.
I think Bouchard is getting cross-checked in the face regardless because it did not appear that there was any reason for that to have happened.
Yeah,
Myers just did it.
But it was a result of like the whole thing happening and intentions running high. And I believe more that McDavid wouldn't have cross-checked Garland in the face had a penalty been called, more than I believe that they would have taken the penalty.
And I'll be honest,
I don't know what happens there, but I am more willing to bet that Connor McDavid doesn't cross-check a guy in the face if that guy is already being punished by the officials.
I will be honest. I often want to cross-check Evan Bouchard in the face. That's just a hand-up thing on me. Love the player. Great player, frustrating guy. Sometimes I want to cross-check him in the face. Can Tyler Myers cross-check Evan Bouchard in the face in the final seconds of a game? No. That, and not to say like that was the worst infraction, but if we are doing vacuum stuff, that was where did that come from?
Exactly. And that was almost entirely created by Tyler Myers. Tyler Myers was going after Evan Bouchard, and when Evan Bouchard decided that he had enough of it, all he did was skate towards Tyler Myers, in which he received a cross-check to the face. And I think that in a vacuum, that's worse behavior than what happened with McDavid. But the fact of the matter is, Oilers fans are going to be pissed that McDavid's going to get suspended because of this. I think that a lot of Vancouver Canucks fans are not going to be so upset that they're going to have to go a few games without Tyler Myers.
Not true. They're going to... I think they're gonna have to play Vinny Desharnais now.
So they're gonna be a different sort of pissed. Like it is. I think you underestimate how sick Vancouver Canucks fans are of Tyler Myers.
All I know is
we pointed this out last week. We didn't get to say this. I found out there is a dedicated subreddit to posting Tyler Myers' game impact cards when he is the worst player on the ice. It is called Bottom Left Myers subreddit, and it is just game cards of when Myers is the worst player on the ice. And that is a kind of an active subreddit, which is very funny.
There was a time when Tyler Myers was my favorite Buffalo Sabre. How far he's fallen.
All I know is every time I see Canucks fans sarcastically announcing a trade with the Sabres for Bo Byram, it's like Vinny Desharnais and one other thing. They just want Vinny Desharnais off their team, which the guy just fucking got there, and he seems like a lovely guy. He was Stu's best friend. Get off him. We can all agree, though, to summarize this, to end this proverbial clip, Connor McDavid, bad guy.
Bad guy. Bad for the league.
Don't like him?
Jail.
Suspended.
Got to get players like that out of the league.
Is his cap, is he going to hit free agency now, or the Oilers even going to want to sign him?
I don't think anyone should sign him. Get ready to learn Russian.
Tony
buddy.
DeAngelo him. Yes. Okay, so that's the thumbnail. It should have been Tony DeAngelo and Connor McDavid with it's the same picture.
Connor McDavid would score approximately 350 goals a month in the KHL. That shit would be probably the most fun I had watching hockey for like a week, and then it would be incredibly boring.
Okay, I'm very proud of how we kept that blast contained.
Here's
no,
sorry. Here's my final thought on it. I am going to be extremely upset when McDavid gets multiple games because there is a rematch later in this week on Thursday, the Canucks and Oilers. And like, can we all agree that like give McDavid 5 games, say?
Do it later.
But
a suspended suspension.
A suspended suspension. Or just have like a leave of absence for that one game on Thursday and let all of them play.
They should give him the option.
Let Myers play. Let McDavid play. Throw Garland out there. Like, please don't trade JT Miller by then. Just run it back.
I got the option of like extra games to wait on the suspension. Like you can take a game off. You can take 2 games off, or you can take 3 and start it after that game.
I saw your guy, who is loving all that Connor Garland bullshit, was Kiefer Sherwood.
Oh,
did you see the shot on the bench? He was
yeah. He was going nuts. And that is the guy. That's why I love that guy so much. What a fire inside that guy all the time.
We got to get you that Sherwood skate jersey.
Yeah, I want it.
It
so
is
bad.
so good. Okay.
By the way, I've decided.
Oh,
no. This is a kind of a separate thing. I've decided on my Four Nations jersey.
I have an updated Four Nations jersey thought that I will share with the boys off the air. There's a lot of housekeeping that needs to be done, but fun stuff.
We're getting closer. We need to see what the actual rosters are going to be, if there's going to be injuries and stuff like that.
Oh, did you guys hear Kevin B? I texted you guys. Kevin after Quinn Hughes scored on Stu Skinner, Kevin BXO was like, "Oh yeah, he's scoring on Stu Skinner. Just preparing for Four Nations." Whole panel, professional as hell, acted like they didn't hear it. Stu Skinner not on the Four Nations team, my guy. Absolutely love that. On JT Miller, quickly, almost traded to the Rangers. Elliot Friedman said that it looked like he wasn't going to play on Saturday. He ended up playing, getting 2 assists in that game against the Oilers. My takeaway from that is I love the idea of messy teams being the ones that make the big moves this year. That it's the Canucks making a trade with the Rangers, who right now the Rangers are like, they're like a little worse than the Bruins, but they are quite a mess, have been a mess really for months now. I love the idea of that happening. I know that we've thought he'd end up on the Devils. Maybe that still happens. Devils are sneaky being a little messy, so I wouldn't hate that. Elliot also threw out more speculation based, but the Hurricanes, would love if the Hurricanes got JT Miller.
Yeah, and I mean, those 3 teams make sense because if you're trading JT Miller, you're probably going to want to trade him to the Eastern Conference. But how about the Colorado Avalanche? Colorado Avalanche need a little bit of help, and they strongly, it seems, do not want Casey Middlestat part of that team anymore. And like, if you're looking for a guy to plug in place of what you thought Casey Middlestat was going to be for you, why not JT Miller? And if you're the Canucks, you take Casey Middlestat back, especially if you're, I don't know, he probably would have to be included in that deal, maybe not, but like, that's not a bad guy to get back in return.
I wish that you could do what happens in the NBA, which is where you make trades, then a team buys out that player, and then they're a free agent and they can go wherever. I was thinking about that.
I hate that.
I'd love if Casey Middlestat went back to the Sabres. Or if Cody Ceci got traded, bought out, and is like now the cock of the walk leading up to the playoffs. He can sign wherever he wants.
That's such an unfair, like, competitive balance thing, though.
Yeah, but the NHL already has that, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain point at which you have to sign to be eligible for the playoffs too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just like wait until the last second and be like, that's the team.
But I just mean that, like, in the NBA, like, good players essentially become free agents mid-season. And then just go to the good teams that are making a
buyout
push.
market. After the trade deadline, there's like 3 days where there's just this free-for-all, and they just pick whichever team LeBron is on.
Yeah.
I mean, John Klingberg did that. Everyone was like, where's that guy going to go? Edmonton. Gotta say, I was doing some cap gymnastics the last few days. I don't care that they signed him. He was just like actually the worst defensive defenseman in the NHL. So yeah, I don't have high expectations there.
Me either. I'm rooting for him. I hope that he's healthy. I hope that he contributes to that team. I don't know if he solves any of their problems.
And quite frankly, if I wanted a right side defenseman who is great offensively and sucks defensively, I would have Tyler Myers cross-check them in the head because they already have that right now. Shall we get to a slate grade, boys?
Yeah.
Shall we? Okay. Love it. There are 9 games, and we start the slate grade early because the slate starts early. In just a few minutes, the San Jose Sharks will visit the Boston Bruins at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's a Joe Thornton Bowl, of course, which means it's a Mako Sturm Bowl. It's also a Kyle McLaren Bowl for those a little older. The Wild take on the Avalanche at 3 p.m. in a Zach Parise Bowl, a Darcy Kemper Bowl. Sabres at the Kraken. This is a Sabres trying to get revenge game, is it, Sean?
Oh, yeah, big time. They blew what was it, 2-goal lead or whatever?
You're
just a very bad loss against the Kraken last week.
Oh, you're telling me the Sabres had a very bad loss against the team. It's good when we can flag those.
This is a great opportunity for Joey Decord.
Yes.
The Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, my God. If the Sabres have goalie goals scored on them in back-to-back games, relegation to the ECHL.
That is two threats of relegation levied by Sean on today's episode alone.
Wait, who else was getting relegated?
No, I relegated the Canucks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
This is a Marcus Johansson Bowl. Speaking of that, Faker. I'm just kidding. Relax, everybody. Relax, everybody. Brandon Montour Bowl. Blues at Golden Knights, 6 p.m. Alex Petrangelo revenge game. Ivan Barbashev revenge game. Yeah. Blues at the Maple Leafs, 7:30 p.m. That's a Gary Roberts Bowl, of course. A Dave Anderchuk Bowl and a Luke Richardson Bowl.
Lightning at Maple Leafs.
I'm sorry, Lightning and Maple Leafs. Blue Jackets at Islanders, 7:30 p.m. Of course, an Anthony Duclair Bowl. Hurricanes at Blackhawks, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That's a Teuvo Teravainen revenge game. A Scott Darling Bowl.
Peter Mrazek revenge game, too.
Yep. A Brian Bickle Bowl. Sergei Samsonov Bowl. Who'd you say, Pete?
The Cam Ward?
Yes, that's a Cam Ward Bowl. Jets at the Hockey Club, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. That's a Kevin Stenlund Bowl, and that's all it is. Or it's a Kevin Stenlund revenge game, right? Maybe? I don't know. I think bowl.
No.
Penguins at Kings. Dude, crunch that on me. Penguins at Kings, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. That's a Jerome McGinley Bowl, a Luke Robitaille Bowl, and a Jim Rutherford Bowl.
It's not a revenge game. Stenlund was on the Panthers.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, I was like, I feel like Kevin Stenlund did something kind of relevant recently, which is he won the Stanley Cup. So good for him. That's a 9-game slate. It is. I mean, Wild Avalanche at 3 o'clock. I kind of like.
Wow.
They've both been stooped by the Oilers the last week.
I can definitely get into Blues Golden Knights. I could theoretically get into Lightning at Maple Leafs. That is an NHL Network game. Got to denote that.
Yeah.
But we are Fubo boys, so that's not a problem for us anymore.
Update on streaming. I still absolutely hate it. Verizon tried to sweet talk me. They said, hey, we can give you a plan that is, you pick the 5 channels. It's $85. You pick 5 channels, and then we make the rest of the lineup off that.
Talking cable?
Yes.
Don't.
Just get
better internet. Like, streaming is not a problem when you have good internet.
But it does. No, what I want though is something that connects everything, and that's what at least what Xfinity did for me.
What do you mean connects? Like connects what?
I have my Netflix connected to it. I have my Disney Plus. I have my ESPN Plus or whatever. So I set into the remote every night, or every other night. I say Edmonton Oilers. It pops up. Oilers are playing the Kraken right now on ESPN Plus. You want to do that? I hit that. It goes right to it.
Amazon Fire Stick's like $20.
John, I don't have $20.
Fair enough.
Does Amazon Fire Stick connect all those things?
Yeah, I do.
Like
I speak into my
Alexa.
thing. I say open Hulu, and it opens Hulu. Open ESPN Plus.
No, but I don't. But I want to turn I speak into it. I say a name of a movie. Okay, Paddington 2. All my things are connected. It says, "Oh yeah, that's on Max. Do you want to watch that right now?" Yes,
that's what Fire Stick does.
Yeah, you're complaining about something that is just completely fixable, and it's a skill issue.
I'm always under the assumption it's a skill issue, but
yeah, Fire Stick, Roku.
I have Roku. Don't fucking tell me that Roku does that, because it doesn't. I must be talking about something specifically different, because it doesn't do it like Xfinity does it.
I'll show you a video when I get home. I take my Amazon Fire Stick, I will say open ESPN Plus.
I don't want to go and open ESPN Plus. I want
to be taken directly to the game.
To the name of the event, movie, show, whatever, Severance. Severance starts. Just give me that. I will pay.
That is so.
I was paying mostly anything.
Pay like $300 for that.
It is literally. I mean, worst case scenario. I think that my Amazon Fire Stick will open ESPN Plus up right to a game if I ask for it. But if it doesn't, it's one other. You press OK, and it opens it up for you.
Okay, people chat or tweet at me. I don't see tweets if I don't follow the person. I don't know where this can be. Find some place that I can see and put your answers there. And don't email me. But let's get a solution here. The Slate's an A-, by the way. Yeah. Pete, say some nice things to them.
Thank you for everybody for listening. Hope this was an enjoyable experience, especially if this was your first time getting to watch on a federal holiday. So thank you very much. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not done that. We want to keep climbing those numbers. Like this video, thumbs up button right below the video player if you wouldn't mind slamming that for the like spike. And for audio listeners, please, if you don't subscribe to the YouTube because you listen on audio, please just subscribe just so that we get the numbers, and vice versa. If you watch on the YouTube, go to audio, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, give us 5 stars. Please. We're thirsty.
Okay.
We're so thirsty.
Thank you very much. Somebody says, this is our current state in the world. We can't move our fingers a couple inches for 3 seconds to put on the show. No, this is the current state of the world. I understand that with all that we do with screens, we're always on our phones, we're always doing whatever. It's not good. I know we're not supposed to be doing it, but I still do it an absolute ton. I'm looking at a screen right now. Where I will say this is the screen time I'd like to cut out is the looking for something on a TV. If we can avoid that, we should.
I would agree with I would agree with that.
And those 5 minutes every time adds up.
The annoying part of the whole streaming experience is how spread out everything is. And like, especially with, is this game on ESPN Plus? Is it on TNT? Is it on NHL Network? Like, so I have to do research to find a game sometimes.
I did the research for you both, but
that's true.
I was listening to 98.5 over the weekend in the car. Matt McCarthy was talking about, he and I are in the exact same situation because I tweeted about it. He messaged me and we've been commiserating together because he too was I'm just going to have cable forever. I'm going to pay whatever. But they just kept raising it. In this most recent one where they took NESN and NBC Sports Boston away, now was the time that you just had to change it. And he was complaining, saying, I'm trying to stream and it sucks and everything. A caller called in and explained to him how he could do it illegally. And he said, okay, then I'll just do it illegally. And his co-host was like, you don't mean that. And he was like, I will pay whatever to make it work. And if an illegal version makes it work instead, then I'll do that. But I will pay or I won't pay or I'll steal it or whatever. And somebody from NESN emailed him and was like, was very disappointed to listen to you advocate stealing cable. I don't know what he sent back, but I would have been like, make the shit easy then.
Two middle fingers.
Like NESN has no right to complain about anything because pay $30 a month, which I got to cancel that.
I am so
I'm going to keep Fubo. Fubo's version of NESN is so much better quality-wise than the actual NESN app, which is supposed to be in 4K. I'll tell you what, we got into the Fubo discussion earlier this year about how Fubo is, we don't want to be on Fubo. Fubo has turned into like one of my more preferred apps because their algorithm for aggregating what you will be interested in when you open up the Fubo app is almost spot on. It's almost
always there. I need to note that the person who pointed out that this is the state of the world or whatever, their name is Nate Kading, and I'm sorry I did not recognize that. That's amazing. Do you guys know who Nate Kading is?
Keating.
Well, it says it could be spelled, it could be pronounced either way. Or it could be, I don't know, the kicker's name was spelt similar to that. I think it was a D, but it was Nate Kading was how it was pronounced. Anyway, he's got a name like an NFL kicker who was on the Chargers, and he chunked a bunch of kicks. He was a high draft pick and was just bad. I loved him so much.
Never draft a kicker.
Just don't draft kickers. They don't end up being good. All right, that's how we will end this show. Time to watch some hockey. We love you. Like and subscribe. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.